Lawrence Price's first trip abroad and one of the first items of his agenda as minister. He's just new in the position. Thank you for choosing Mexico and come here in your second day of your work. Thank you very much. Without a doubt, this shows how important Mexico is for the UK. Ever since the beginning of the dual year between Mexico and the UK, 2015, there has been a continued effort to strengthen the bilateral economic relationship. British investment in our country has increased considerably and has led to the opening of new markets in key economic sectors. Also, British products, gourmet clothing, toys, technology, creative industries, amongst many others, are every day more visible in the Mexican market. Likewise, every day more Mexican companies look into the UK to expand their business. The efforts that both countries have undertaken to strengthen their economic relationship have definitely paid off. For a strong economy like the UK, a country like Mexico means great opportunities to expand business. Thanks to recent structural reforms, Mexico's economic conditions have significantly improved. Our economy is growing still. Sectors like automotive, industrial, financials, telecommunications, infrastructures, and energy are receiving great amounts of foreign investment. New labor laws will result in healthy human capital and better recruitment costs. Mexico is a country of opportunities. Macroeconomic stability, low inflation, and openness to international markets make this country one of the best destinations for opening and expanding business. Over the past 95 years, the British Chamber of Commerce has promoted trade and investment between Mexico and the United Kingdom by acting as a facilitator for companies wishing to do business in a friendly, respectful, and professional environment. Through its business sector groups, the British Chamber of Commerce serves and provides companies with a top quality program of events and networking opportunities in Mexico. The Chamber has little more than 400 members and reach out to over 6,000 people active in business, including large, medium, and small companies, mostly of Mexican and British origin. The Chamber was established to contribute towards a better understanding and cooperation in business between Mexico and the UK. The fact that the Chamber has been a successful and prosperous organization for 95 years is symbolic of the high importance of Mexico-UK economic relationship. Our goal is always to raise the profile of UK companies in Mexico and foster new business relations. Through the commercial area of the Chamber, the British Business Centre, or BDM, and in close collaboration with our friends at the UKTI, United Kingdom Trade and Investment, the Chamber has supported new companies looking to do business in Mexico or with Mexico and the UK, are centrally engines of today's world economy. Communication and collaboration between the two countries is of paramount importance in creating the first business opportunity. At the Chamber, we will continue to facilitate business connections and to help create a deep understanding of the business environment in Mexico that will lead to UK investment growth. I'm confident that this visit will be very successful. I wish you a very pleasant stay in Mexico, and I'm certain you will get to know this great country that has much to offer. Welcome. To continue the agenda of the event, I will ask Francisco Gonzalez, who's the CEO for Mexico, to come here and say something about Mexico and things we're doing. Thank you.
Secretary of Trade and Envoy to Mexico, welcome also. His Excellency Diego Gomez, Ambassador of Mexico to the United Kingdom. His Excellency Duncan Taylor, Ambassador of the United Kingdom to Mexico. Mr. Emilio Diaz, President of the British Chamber of Commerce. Dear friends, distinguished members of the UK-Mexico Senior Business Leaders Group, Chamber Board members and business people of the Mexican-British community gathered here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to be able to discuss Mexico's economic overview and our bilateral trade status with such a distinguished audience, especially in the occasion of Lord Price's first visit to Mexico as Minister of Trade and Investment. Mexico remains as a destination of choice that facilitates the British community. In fact, the Rolling Stones visited our country just a couple of weeks ago. Quoting Mick Jagger, "You can't always get what you want." But today I'm sure that this dialogue we are about to have will convince you to do more and better business with Mexico so you can get what you need. Indeed, it is one of the priorities of our government to foster trade between our countries. Bearing this in mind, let me begin by introducing some of the key aspects that shape our bilateral relation in terms of trade and economic opportunities. From that starting point, Mexico's economic relationship with the United Kingdom has prospered, especially in the recent years. Currently, our total trade surpasses 4.3 billion USD, equivalent to over 3 billion pounds. Even if a significant portion of our business comes from the sectors of metals and food, the share of manufactured goods has been steadily rising. The UK is also an important source of direct foreign investment to Mexico. Since 1999, British companies have invested more than $10 billion in our country, especially in the financial, mining, and manufacturing sectors, positioning the UK as Mexico's 8th largest source of FDI. For instance, British luxury car maker McLaren opened recently a showroom in Mexico City as part of a drive to increase sales in the country, as Land Rover and Rolls-Royce did before. And the toy brand Hamleys has also chosen Mexico as the first incursion to Latin America. I'm certain that more successful examples of joint ventures will be shared along in the future as the Gorreta and Rogers projects in Mexico City Airport and the recently unveiled Bancomer's headquarters. I hope you have the opportunity to see this from this part of the city, just to name a few. Moreover, there are several reasons as to why UK investors feel at home when doing business with Mexico. For more than 20 years, Mexico has been a very responsible player, keeping fiscal deficits and inflation at a manageable rate. At the same time, in terms of international trade, Mexico has one of the largest FTA networks in the world, providing preferential access to its products in 45 markets worldwide. Thanks to its open economy, Mexico has a productive structure founded in high-tech manufacturers. This means that Mexico is very different from several emerging economies since our productive structure is fundamentally based on advanced manufacturers rather than commodities. For instance, in 2015, Mexico achieved a record high in car exports, which positioned us as the 4th largest exporter in the world. Our country is currently the 7th largest supplier of medical devices to the UK, and in the aerospace sector, the UK is the 5th largest trading partner to Mexico. Mexico is one of the most attractive spots for investments nowadays. On the one hand, the introduction of a new competitive and legal framework that favors the entrance of new players to sectors that were previously restricted, especially in the energy sector. And the overall economic effect in terms of savings and efficiencies for companies has both boosted interest in doing business in Mexico. In the first 3 years of this administration, Mexico has reached historical records in FDI inflows. Figures went from an annual average of $2.5 billion in the period 1980-1993, before NAFTA, to $19 billion in the years after NAFTA, and in the latest 3 years, FDI reached a milestone of $33 billion. Our countries are natural partners. Mexico has the human capital, the infrastructure, and the market required by the UK firms. Each and every one of you here confirms that this opportunity is real and that we are eager to foster our partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, on his visit to London last year, President Peña Nieto stated his will to work together and explore new areas of opportunity for the prosperity of both British and Mexican. I'm convinced that together we will do exactly that, and with events like this one, we will strengthen even more our already robust partnership. I want to thank you all for your interest in our country and want to take this opportunity to let you know that Mexico is eager to be your ally in order to achieve even greater goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francisco. And now let me introduce Her Majesty's Ambassador Duncan Taylor. who will give us a message and introduce Mr. Price.
Buenos días, muchas gracias, Emilio. Good morning to everybody. Let me just join my voice to those welcoming our Minister, Lord Price, and Baroness Jane Bonham-Carter. Jane, of course, knows Mexico very well, and been here many times, an old friend. But it is a particular delight that, Minister, you have been able to come and find the time to come to Mexico in your very first week. I could just mention that when your predecessor mentioned that he was going to be resigning and going back into the private sector, and you were then appointed by the Prime Minister, we have been planning a visit by Lord Maud. So I wrote to your Private Secretary, Lisa, saying, oh, we've got this visit coming, it's pretty important for us to have the Minister out here in Mexico. We got a reply overnight by the following morning saying, yes, we'd be delighted to come. It was evident to me that bureaucracy hadn't yet got its teeth into you, Minister, but we really were delighted because apart from anything else, we have a very important meeting, business meeting this week, which you will be participating in with the dinner tonight and then a meeting tomorrow morning, the Senior Business Leaders Group. The second meeting, my friend Andres Rosenthal, who heads up the Mexican side of that, has been working very hard to make sure we have a great meeting. It does mean that not only are you in Mexico in your first week, but you're here in the company of some of the most senior business people from the United Kingdom, and people who have a lot of interest in developing our relationship, business relationship between the United Kingdom and Mexico. So it's a real delight. You'll all know in this room, I think, that we celebrated the dual year of Mexico and the UK last year. We feel it was a really great year, promoting the profile and positive perceptions in each country of the other. But we also know that we have a lot of hard work to do to deliver a legacy from that year, particularly in promoting business relationship and achieving the potential we know is there. So what better way to do that than to have the new Minister for Trade and Investment, Lord Price, and the Prime Minister's Special Representative for Trade with Mexico come to Mexico this week, so early in 2016. So I think that will certainly help us deliver our legacy. We will do in the embassy, and I know that Diego, my colleague from London, is here, that in the embassy in London, with the help of UKTI and Pro-Mexico, quite a few of my colleagues here this morning, we will certainly be doing everything we can to promote that relationship. But for the business people in the room, and you are mostly business people, I should say that, of course, this is, I think, your beginning of your third day as a politician, Minister. I think that's fair to say. So actually, I think that our Minister is very much still a businessman rather than a politician at this stage, and therefore should be on very much the same wavelength as all you business people in the room. I think you probably know this, but just to have a very brief couple of words of introduction for Lord Price. Until very recently, Lord Price, you were Chief Executive of Waitrose, one of the best-known supermarket brands in the UK. I think probably fair to say one that pushes up the house prices every time they open a new branch. Around that area, the house prices seem to creep up. And also the Deputy Chairman of John Lewis, a sort of household name in the UK as one of our top department stores. So bringing that experience from private sector to this job, I think is very exciting. We certainly want you to leave Mexico on Friday evening after 2 days here in the city and a day in Monterrey on Friday with some fantastic perceptions of Mexico, some great memories, so that you'll always remember this first visit of yours overseas. So, Lord Price, I'm very pleased to be able to invite you to come and address the Chamber of Commerce this morning.
Buenos dias. Ambassador, thank you very much for those kind words. Francisco, could I just say that in your speech you very powerfully put across very succinctly why Mexico and the UK should be doing more together, and do want to do more together. So congratulations on your words. Emilio, thank you very much for your invitation, and again for your very kind words. I am absolutely delighted to be here in Mexico City. And also to your ambassador to the United Kingdom, Diego Gomez-Pickering, who I was delighted to meet about 4 weeks ago, talking about this visit, and what we could get from it. And you have been an outstanding ambassador to Mexico in the United Kingdom, and we wish you well in your new posting. I know it's not quite confirmed yet, but we wish you well whatever that's going to be. I'd also like to very warmly welcome Baroness von Carter, the Prime Minister's trade envoy to Mexico, and also to all of you, a very powerful group of business people and our partners. Now, my visit comes 95 years after the foundation of the British Chamber of Commerce in Mexico. Not only is it one of the most popular European chambers in Mexico, it is among the leading British chambers in Latin America, and I congratulate you all on that continued success. For me, this visit to Mexico breaks new grounds in more than one way. It's my first visit anywhere in the world as Minister of Trade and Investment, and it's only my second day in the job. Now, faced with a range of countries for me to choose from, Mexico was the obvious place to come. And it's not just because I love the food and the culture. Mexico will soon be amongst the top 10 economies in the world, with a flourishing business community and vibrant and youthful entrepreneurs. Developing our business relationship with Mexico is a priority for the UK. We've got a lot in common. Mexico and the UK are two of the most open trading nations in the world. We share a belief that international trade can be a powerful force for good, bringing business people together, spreading prosperity, and creating jobs. It is through trade that business generates the taxes that pay for our hospitals, schools, roads, make our societies stronger, and keep our societies safer. When it comes to bilateral relations, last year we saw the UK feted in Mexico and Mexico in the UK as part of our dual year. Celebrations which included a state visit by your President, Peña Nieto, to the United Kingdom. This year we want to build on that foundation by achieving a step change in trade and investment. But after spending my entire career in business, I'm fully aware that we cannot achieve that by an act of political will alone, although we can create the right conditions for the people who matter, the people sitting in this room, who really make things happen, to make the right kind of business decisions that are going to be right for them, their shareholders, and their businesses. My question to you is, what can our two governments do to help? I've mentioned that the UK and Mexico share the same views on trade. The UK has been using its position as the world's fifth largest economy to support the growth of international trade in multilateral bodies such as the G20, the EU, the OECD, and the World Trade Organization. Mexico is also an exemplar in that respect. It has free trade agreements with more countries than the USA and China combined. These include the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement and now the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will open up trade with Pacific Rim nations. The EU-Mexico deal is also very positive, although it could be updated for the benefit of both sides, and I do hope that will happen soon. What I'm keen to hear, therefore, is, are there areas where our two governments should be using their combined weight to push harder against tariff barriers, or to open markets to UK and Mexican firms? It's clear to me that we have substantial interests in common. We're both strong in the oil and gas industry, and I'm glad that the UK's experience in working in the tough conditions of the North Sea are now being put to use in Mexico. I welcome the deal that was announced last year between Mexico's state-owned energy company Pemex and the Wood Group, the oil and gas services company headquartered in Aberdeen, and I hope more such deals follow. It's worth knowing that the UK government is able to provide specific support in terms of specialist finance and insurance via UK Export Finance. The UK and Mexico are also among the world leaders in the automotive sector. How can we help our global supply chains to flourish and how can we work together to capitalise on the next generation of low-carbon vehicles. Ford, which has operations both in Mexico and in the UK, is working with UK scientists at the moment and engineers to develop a new generation of low-emission engines. We share a common aspiration to develop our space sector and to capitalise on the ever-growing number of applications for satellite data, which can be used for everything from crop control to fighting crime. The UK is home to the European Space Agency and is currently scoping out 5 locations that could become Europe's first spaceport by 2018. We are both subject to the same threats in the cyber sphere. Cybersecurity is one of the main strands of security cooperation discussed between the UK and Mexican leaders last year, and our embassy is arranging for UK cyber experts to come here in June. And we are expanding tourism between our 2 countries. Almost 500,000 UK tourists now come to Mexico each year, which makes this country our most popular destination in Latin America. There are opportunities to link up on designing and refurbishing airports, and we look forward to playing a key role in the construction of the new Mexico City airport. I'm interested to hearing from you about the opportunities to increase investment between our 2 countries. In his explanation of why trade was mutually beneficial, 18th century economist Adam Smith was the first to express the idea that countries should produce what they are best at. If there is an exchange of whiskey from the UK with, say, tequila from Mexico, then that's a clear win-win. And a nice twist to this theory, and I was intrigued to hear that Diageo has successfully invested in Tequila Don Julio, and Mexico's Jose Cabrera now owns Bushmill whiskey in Northern Ireland. I'd like to see more UK firms investing in Mexico and vice versa. For anyone here who might be considering an investment in the UK, we can offer a strong economy, in fact, the fastest growing advanced economy in the world. Tax rates set at a level that shows that we are open for business. Our headline rate of tax, corporation tax, is due to fall to 17% by 2020, and we have a special scheme to promote innovation, such as a tax rate of just 10% on UK profits generated by patented inventions, which is known as the Patent Box Scheme. An entrepreneur visas for business people who want to set up in the UK, which is one of the top worldwide nations for ease of doing business, according to the World Bank. And to complement all that, we have an able workforce and a cosmopolitan environment where people from around the world come and feel at home, with the rest of Europe to explore at your doorstep. I sound like a travel agent. Many UK firms are thriving in Mexico, and I can see some of their representatives in the room now. Your Mexican counterparts in the UK include Cemex, which generates 775 million in annual sales in the UK and is the market leader in ready-mixed concrete. Gruma, which produces the vast majority of tortillas eaten in our country, and I can confirm that they're very good indeed. And Kidzania, which was opened in Westfield Shopping Centre last year by a personal friend of mine, Joel Cadbury. We have an excellent team here in Mexico, led by the Director of UK Trade and Investment, Stephen Cartwright, who will talk to you in person about the opportunities that we have scoped out for potential investors, notably in UK infrastructure, which is a solid long-term investment. And I must remind you that in June, we have the International Festival of Business in Liverpool, where you can meet businesses from around the world in the home of the Beatles. I mentioned that this was my first trip overseas in my new role, and I am here to listen, and I am here to learn. I want to hear from you what actions our 2 governments should be taking to help your businesses succeed. What are your most lofty ambitions, and what is holding you back from achieving them? In the Senior Business Leaders Group later this week, we'll be looking at particular issues that businesses have already raised with us, notably regulation, passage through customs, and also costs related to security. But let me end by saying how pleased I am to be in Mexico, and how seriously the UK feels about building links between our two countries. My visit is the second by a trade minister in 6 months, and next month the Foreign Secretary will be here too. I'm grateful that so many high-powered business people from both Mexico and the UK have taken the time to come here today, and I'm keen to ensure that our two governments do all they can to help your businesses flourish. Thank you.